Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree no-sew pumpkin. We're going to do 6 different methods, techniques, ways. Normally I show you all of the supplies you'll need ahead of time, but we're just going to wing it because we're going to use a variety of fabrics and trimmings, and basically you can do this with any. So that's why I didn't mention it. What I'm doing here is I'm recreating the burlap pumpkin from 2017. In 2017 you could get burlap sheets at the Dollar Tree that were roughly 18 by 12. So what we did for that DIY, and we're going to repeat here, this is actually a piece of runner from Walmart that I got from Amber, was we glued it in a tube. Basically you took, I took my ruler and put it underneath where I was going to glue so I wouldn't glue through the open weave of the burlap, and I folded the edge on top of it, and then once I let it set up and dry, I took 6 18-inch pieces of jute and then a 7th 18 and tied them in a knot, and then I took a 7th 18-inch piece of jute and I stuffed the knot inside the tube, gathered around the knot, and then took that extra piece of jute and tied it around, and creating a you're going to use a baker's knot, double knot it basically just to get it all nice and secure. Then you're going to take your hot glue before you turn it right side out, and you're going to stick some glue in all of the spaces and the folds, and you basically want this knot not to come out. So these are all no-sew pumpkins, but you will need your glue, some rubber bands, some jute, some cotton twine, other stuff. Okay, so once you have that all set, you want to make sure that it is set up before you turn your pumpkin, or turn your sleeve, or turn your sack. You want to make sure that it is nice and solid, because once you turn it, you're going to have to manipulate it, and I don't want any of these ropes or strings coming out on you. Okay, so once it's all set up, you go ahead and you can turn your sack, I guess we can call it a sack, inside out, and now you're going to stuff it. We're going to just stuff it with shopping bags. You can stuff it with batting. You can stuff it with old rags. You can stuff it with shopping bags. You could probably even stuff these with rice if you have enough rice. I'm just saying, just stuff away. So once we've turned them out, you see that there are 6 strings hanging out of the tuchus of this sack. That's what we're going to use to create the sections. So once you have it stuffed the way you want it, do you want a tall pumpkin? Do you want a short and fat pumpkin? Do you want a medium-sized pumpkin? Do you want one that's round and bottom heavy? Whatever those designs are that you want, you go ahead and you stop stuffing when you're ready. Okay? But keep in mind you will have to jam it down a little bit more. So if you want it short and squatty, you want to make it look medium. If you want it medium, you want to make it look tall. If you want it tall, you want to really stuff that to maximum capacity. So once you have it all, you're going to cinch the top. And what I did was I took a Dollar General bag, which was yellow, turned it inside out, and then I put all of my other bags inside of it just to get a uniform color between the open weave of the burlap. In the original video, we took one from Kroger, which is nice and tan, but we don't really shop there much anymore. Okay. So now what I've done is I've gathered up all of the strings and the top of the burlap, and I've taken the last piece of jute that we cut out of the 9, and we are going to tie it. Actually, it's the 8th piece, but we're going to gather that up and then tie it and tie and tie and twist it around and around and around until we have a nice secure knot. Then what you want to do, while holding the knot with your right hand, or I'm righty, so holding the knot with my right hand, I'm going to grab all the strings with my left hand. I'm going to pull against the pumpkin. So I'm pulling down the pumpkin with my right hand, pulling the strings up with my left. Now I'm going to take that final piece of jute and all of the jute that's left over that we just cinched, and we're going to twist and twist and twist and twist and twist, add a little bit of glue, and that's what's going to make the stem. Now this is a very long and twisty stem. We could cut it off. You can decide what kind of stem you want your pumpkin to have. Okay? I wanted to make sure I left at least one in these DIYs for you to see twisty and long. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of floral wire and another piece of jute, the last remaining piece of jute, and we're going to just put a little tiny bit of hot glue at the very end, and we're going to glue the end of the jute to the end of the wire. And you really want to let this cool off to the point where you can touch it. And once you touch it, you want to basically wrap it around with your finger to get that glue secure to the end of that wire. And then once you have that done, you can go ahead with your other hand holding the jute against the wire. You're going to spin the wire around, and basically what you're doing is you're wrapping a piece of jute around a piece of wire. Now, Dollar Tree does sell wired jute now, but I know not everybody has had luck finding it. So this from 2 years ago, I kind of feel like I'm not going to give myself props, but I kind of feel like Dollar Tree was watching this video and said, "Hey, let's make some wired jute for that lady." But in case you can't find it, this is how you can make it. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the end of the wire and I'm just twisting it around while I'm holding the jute in my fingers, and it's just wrapping itself around. And then when you get to the very end, you just want to add more glue. Again, let it cool off till you can touch it, and then twist it on nice and tight, and then twist it on with your fingers, trim off the excess, and now you have a beautiful wired piece of jute that you can spin into a tendril. I think we're going to spin this tendril on my finger, possibly. I'm not really sure. Okay, maybe. Now what I've done is I've taken another piece of burlap. Now originally this was a piece of burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to create a leaf shape. I messed up and made a holly leaf the first time, so I went ahead and I messed up and made a holly leaf for you guys again. So what you want to do is you just want to put a glue, draw a leaf in a leaf shape with your hot glue so that you can keep it from unraveling when you cut it out. Then go ahead and glue your leaf on and your tendrils, and there you go. You have the prettiest little burlap pumpkin that ever was. For this next DIY, we're going to use a buffalo check scarf, but again, any of these DIYs can be done with any material. So this is what we're doing next. This is No Sew Pumpkin number 2. What we're going to do is we're going to take material right sides together. Now this scarf does not have right sides, but if you are doing this with any other material, you want to put right sides together and then create a tube again. That's all we're doing, just like we did before. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use rubber bands this time, and we're going to get two rubber bands for this whole project. We're going to gather up the very end. Again, we're going to pinch and pleat, and then we're going to secure that with a rubber band. And once the glue is set up and the rubber band's on there nice and tight, you can go ahead and turn it right side out. Now we're going to stuff it. I decided to stuff it with some Walmart gray bags because keep in mind that this scarf material is very thin and will show whatever print or whatever color you put through the white area. Okay, so once you have it all as stuffed as you want, or little stuffing, or as much stuffing as you want to go ahead and get another rubber band, and you want to gather the top up. And once you have the top, gather it up, you want to go ahead and secure it with a rubber band again. Okay, and then we're going to take some cotton twine. They do sell cotton twine at the Dollar Tree. I just found this at Walmart. It is much cheaper per yard, I think, so I went ahead and I got it there. And you're going to tie a baker's knot onto the rubber band, nice and tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the string and we're going to go from North Pole to South Pole, back up to North Pole. Basically, we're going to do longitudinal lines. And once we get back to the stem, you wrap it around a couple of times, and then you head off in another direction. So we're going to go perpendicular to the first direction. So basically what we're doing is we're creating like a compass, north, south, east, west, and then we're going to go from northeast to southwest, and then northwest to southeast, if basically that means. And each time you pull it a little tighter, and you wrap it around the stem. Once you get back to the very beginning, you're going to wrap it a couple of times at the end, going to connect it back to your first string, and then you're going to go ahead and tie it off. We're going to create the cotton twine stem. Basically, we're gathering up whatever material is left over. We're going to wrap it around with cotton twine as long or as little as you want. I'm going to add a little piece of wire in the bottom, to the stem too, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap that around just to create the stem a little bit longer. Then what I've done is I've turned the pumpkin over and I've taken another piece of cotton twine, and at the South Pole all of these strings do not meet perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect them. Basically, you're going to put a piece of cotton twine under in a couple of directions, tie it tight because you don't want any of these strings to come off. So we're just going to do that so they're all nice and even. Then you can go ahead and adjust it, fluff it, move your strings around, adjust your sections however you want to do. Then we're going to do is we're also going to create a tendril for this cotton twine tendril. So I have, after I made the stem, I added a little bit of hot glue to the tip of the stem just to create more of a point, but that's how I like my stems to look. So now we're just going to repeat the same thing we did with the jute, cotton twine, just twist it around a piece of wire, glued at both ends. And then once you have it exactly the way length you want it, you can go ahead and cut it off. And then I can wrap it around my finger, or you can wrap it around a pencil, whatever really, however twisty you want it to be. That's what you'll go ahead and wrap it around, okay? And you create 1 or 2 or 7 or 12 leaves or no leaves. Again, that's entirely your preference, creator's choice. Okay, so here's how it looks. It's so super cute. I think it's like the cutest one. It's all like squishy and oh, so cute. And you know, just a couple of pennies really. So this one is going to use, I'm going to make 2. We're going to use the black and white scarves from the Dollar Tree. What we're doing is we're creating, this one is going to be an inside out section pumpkin. We're going to have 8 sections. So what I've done is I folded this in diagonal 4 times. So basically diagonal, diagonal again, and then diagonal again. And then I've cut sort of a leaf shape. There is a name for this, but it's almost like an oval with points. Don't ask me what the name of it is. Why can't I remember the name of that? The middle of a Venn diagram. So you're going to get 8 sections. And what we're going to do for this one is we're going to glue right sides together. So we're going to basically match all of the pattern. So if you notice that this bandana has like this pretty paisley stripe down the middle, which is really the border. And then it's got solid on one side and paisleys on the other. We want to make sure that they're all in the same direction. And you don't have to. It would look cute if it wasn't. This is just me and my OCD. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue not to the very point on the top or the bottom, but we're going to glue along one side, and then we're going to basically overlay them. So we're going to glue 2 together only on one side. Then we're going to open that up. Say the top piece, we're going to open the top piece back up, and we're going to glue another piece to that remaining side. And you're going to do this around the whole pumpkin. So basically all you're doing is if these were people holding hands, you would hold hands in a circle. So you want to make sure that you glue one half, one side of the pumpkin, one side of the leaf to another leaf. No 2 sides of the same leaf will be glued to the same sides of another leaf. Does that make sense? I don't even know if that makes sense. But here's what it looks like when it's done. And then you want to do is you want to connect the beginning to the end. Maybe this is too many DIYs. What do you think? Maybe we should do 6 pumpkins in a show. Okay, so what we do then is we want to turn it right side out. And the reason I'm turning it right side out is because before I glue the bottom, I like to inspect all my seams and make sure that the glue has held. Okay? Make sure I don't have any holes, any holidays, and that has happened. Then I want to turn it inside out again, and I'm going to glue the bottom. I want to glue the bottom closed of all the different petal sections. And again, you want to make sure you do this. You want to make sure that you have it all in order and everything before you go ahead and seal the bottom. It just makes it that much easier to fix yourself. Okay? Then what you want to do is you want to turn your pumpkin right side out, or your sack, or whatever you want to call it. You want to turn it right side out, and you want to go ahead and stuff it. Now, the sections are created by the glue, but they don't really puff like a pumpkin section unless you want to stuff it that way. I just like the fact that it's got sections by its seams, not necessarily that it puffs out in different sections. That's why I like this pumpkin. And this pumpkin has 8 sections. So you stuff it as little or as much as you want. That's my ongoing theme for the rest of the show is going to be you stuff it as little as you want. But you just want to go ahead and do that. And then again, these are free shopping bags. We could buy batting. I have batting up the wazoo here, but I have free shopping bags, and I just want to be able to keep them out of the planet. Let's put it that way. So what I've done now is I'm just going to take a little piece of the seam, the border, the trim, the edge of this bandana. Instead of doing jute, I'm just going to create the knot, the string, out of the little like sewed edge. Okay? and I'm going to tie it into a knot. And this one's going to have a teeny tiny stem. We're going to gather up all of the pieces that are at the opening top, all 8 sections, and we're going to tie it around with that string, and then just create the stem by gluing a little bit on the top there, like basically gluing all those pieces into a stem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of the other bandana. I'm going to create a white leaf on the black pumpkin and the black leaf on the white pumpkin, because why not? So I went ahead and I just created a regular leaf shape, glued a pinch in the end basically, and then stuck that on there. I also did create some black tendrils. This one looks like a little black and orange, but I'll show you that at the end. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the other bandana, and this time we're not going to fold it diagonally. We're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to fold it in thirds, the half in thirds. Then we're going to fold that third in half again and cut our diamond shape out of that. Just like we used to cut hearts when we were, not diamond shape, whatever that shape is. Just like we used to cut hearts out in school, you want to make sure that you have the center, and then you're cutting around from the center fold, that you make sure that you have. Basically, you won't cut yourself 2 halves. Okay. Now, as you can see, the fabric is very slippery, so every once in a while I had to go back and fix something that didn't get disconnected. Now, for this one, this was like the towel pumpkin, the no-sew towel pumpkin we made last year. The seams are going to be on the outside. I was inspired by quite a few different pumpkins this year, but obviously last year I was inspired by one that I saw at Country Door. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did before, except we're going to glue wrong sides together. So if you have a fabric with a print, this is wrong sides together. This pumpkin will have its seams on the outside left over when it's done. And it looks really, really cute in the towel. It looks cute with the bandana, don't get me wrong, but it looks super cute. It looked much cuter with the towel last year, in my opinion. But we're going to do the same thing, so you want to make sure that no 2 sides of each section is glued to 2 sides of a same section. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, I hope so. So you basically want to glue piece A to piece B, piece B to piece C, C to D, D to E, and then back to A. Hey, I think that might have actually made sense. And for this one, you want to glue all the way down to the point from the very beginning. Just leave the top open. Okay. And we're going to, like I said, we're not going to turn this one inside out. It's going to stay right sides out. So I'll tell you, with these bandanas, the black one, you could tell which side was the right side and the wrong side. With the white one, it was much more difficult. Now that's not to say that every pack of bandanas will be the exact same, because obviously as they come off the printing thing, they'll be different. But this is just to say that that's what the case was with this one. Okay. So once you have all of your sections together, you're going to go ahead, make sure that your bottom, again, I put my hand in and I make sure I don't have any holidays, basically, that all of the seams are glued. What ended up happening was there was a tiny hole in the bottom that actually didn't, I had to go ahead and glue that back. But all of the sides got glued pretty well, which I was proud of myself. I did that. So now we're going to go ahead and stuff these. Again, this bandana is kind of thin too. I wanted to stuff them with white colored shopping bags. And when you have print on a shopping bag and you're going to use it for stuffing, you can just turn everything right side out and tuck the color in. But what I decided to do was to take a thicker white shopping bag and then basically stuff all of those into the thicker white shopping bag. Now, I tell you that I used all my white shopping bags with this one, and it still wasn't fluffy enough for me, so I went ahead and pulled out the gray ones. But because I was stuffing them in a white shopping bag, it didn't show the color variation. I don't know what I'm saying. It didn't show that there was 2 different colors. It didn't show up through the outside of the pumpkin, is what I'm trying to say. So this is where you want to take your opportunity to go ahead and stuff your sections. You want to make sure that you get them all nice and stuffed and shaped the way you want them, because this really is not easy to manipulate once it's finished. So I felt like each section needed a little bit more puff in there. So I went ahead and I just added that puff. Okay. So then I went ahead and I glued the top sections together. I started across from each other. So basically I glued 2 and then I went directly across and I glued those 2. And then I did it again on the, moved over and then did that section. And then when I got to the very end, I left the last 2 pretty close, but I still left a hole The reason you wanted to leave a hole is because we're going to put our stem in here, not just glued on top, which you can glue on top. Again, I'm just trying to give you different variations on all the things that you can do. So what I've done is I've taken this middle section of the black bandana that kind of has like a star shape, which was kind of pretty cool. And I just created it this pretty flower shape. What I did then was I took 2 pieces of bandana and I rolled them like a log, and I put them inside that flower shape. Basically, I want to create a stem. I want the flower shaped portion to be inside the pumpkin, and the middle of that star is going to be at the tip of the pumpkin stem. Okay? And then once you have it all twisted, I added glue to kind of keep the twist and to keep it together. And then I went ahead and I glued it inside the pumpkin. And then I created a leaf just like we did before, but I did this one on a piece of black bandana. And once it was dry and set, you can go ahead and you can cut it out. And this one I just made a regular, like, whatever this leaf shape is. Oh, I feel like so dumb today. I don't know why. Forgive me for not knowing the exact name of this shape. You guys are probably going to leave it in the comments and be like, Jerry, it's this. So anyway, this is what the white one looks like. I thought it was super cute. Again, it has a tendril on there, which we didn't show you the tendrils for this one yet because it's super easy. But this is how it looks. I think this is really cute. I did like it with the bandana, but I really, really liked it with the towel. I don't know. So for this last one, this is probably the easiest. We are just going to remove the velvet from this pumpkin, and we're going to rewrap it in a buffalo check that we bought at Walmart. Now, my original DIY for this was to do this with an orange carvable pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. However, I don't have any. Can you imagine that I used the last 2 on the topiary the other day? That's an item that I didn't think I'd ever was going to run out of. So we just went ahead and we took the velvet off of this. You can use any foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. They do sell little ones that are have metallic paint on them. You can use those as well. But I wanted a white background because this buffalo check plaid from Walmart isn't it isn't the best quality. So of course it'll let some color come through. So I wanted to make sure I had a white underneath there. I didn't have to make the hole any bigger. I just had to make my fabric a little smaller. So what I did was I cut a square, basically, bandana sized really. But I went ahead and I just measured around the pumpkin and then figured out what size square I needed. Then once I had it all gathered up, I made sure I gathered it evenly so that the pleats would create the sections of the pumpkin. And I cut off the 2 extra corners that were very long. And I took my scissor and I stuffed all of the ends down into that styrofoam. Then I took the stem that came off the pumpkin and I glued it back. And now what we're going to do is I created a leaf with the little black and white check ribbon that we got from Hobby Lobby at 50% off. And I can't believe it was so good. But anyhow, this is the Halloween ribbon from Dollar Tree, and it's got black wire edges on it. I've just colored them in a little bit better with a Sharpie, but if I had my druthers, I would probably use the one that's like a white ribbon with a black trim. And I just cut off the black trim because these are already black covered wires. That was what I was trying to get to, and I used those to create the tendrils. And some of the little orange shows through once I twisted it. But again, it wasn't objectionable to me. So hopefully it's not objectionable to you. Woo! That was a long talk. So that was it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these tutorials. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in learning how to make any of these no-sew pumpkins. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!